Okay, good morning. My name's Paul Hakes and Gino Morrelli. Here this morning to talk about catamarans and our new boat, the HH66. The story of catamarans begins almost two and a half years ago. With Hudson Yachts, a large boat building facility in Xiamen, China. I joined the owner, Hudson Wang, 2.5 years ago to facilitate the existing production he had with mini boats. It's a large facility constructing OEM as an OEM manufacturer for gunboat, pearl, and we decided to launch into our own brands. So we started with a little Grand Prix racing boat called the HH42. The HH symbolized a joint venture, Hudson and Hakes. This little is an IRC carbon fiber, all pre-preg Grand Prix racing boat. To date we've sold 6 of them, and it's winning regattas worldwide. Since then, the team at Hudson Yachts has grown in depth, grown in experience, and we're ready to launch into our next brand. And we decided to launch HH Catamarans, using the experience we had gained from building the gunboat catamarans. Our production team was ready for something new. We have a large production facility where we have laminating teams, carpentry teams, painting teams, electrical and mechanical teams. And this boat was seemed like a natural progression for us. The choice then, it was, what do we do for a designer? We wanted this brand to be a world leader, the best in the world. So to do that, we've got to start with the world's best designers. And Gino and I have a relationship going back a couple of decades, in fact, to the early days of the giant MaxiCat PlayStation, where I was a construction manager at Cooks and Boats, and Gino was the naval architect, and together we spent 2 years sweat and blood to build the world's first MaxiCat, and our relationship sort of flourished since then. And in Wellington, New Zealand, where I had my own boatyard, we built the SL33 together, which was a training boat for the America's Cup syndicates the last time round, with Team New Zealand buying a couple and Luna Rossa buying a couple, and others being sold privately. So now we're in China, very exciting place, with this wonderful facility that the owner Hudson Wang's built about 7 years ago. The facility covers something like 130,000 square meters of land. We have 3 very large building halls, each at about 15,000 square meters. We have 60-meter 5-axis CNC robots, 3 10-meter 3-axis robots, fabric cutters, laser cutters. We are very heavily invested into design, and with a large team of designers on board to do systems design, and invest in big time into the future in mechanising the yard as much as possible to make it a very efficient build process. Our intention is to be Asia's biggest and best boatyard, and ultimately in 10 years' time to be building super yachts for the world. HH66 is the beginning of our HH Catamaran brand, and we have this show we're launching the 55 as well, and then we have on the drawing board the 77 and the HH115. So probably best now I hand over to Gino to tell you a little bit about the boat.
Paul? Yeah, our involvement with Paul, like you mentioned, goes back to PlayStation days, where we first got to know each other and worked with each other closely. And a lot of our experience building these big cats started back then. And since those days, we've designed a number of the gunboat series, the 48s, the 62s, and the 66s. And after building 18 of those boats, we've learned quite a bit from the owners, direct experience and being involved with a lot of the refits and knowing what went right and what went wrong with those boats. We try to incorporate a lot of those details into the new boat. So the boat we see here is really the evolution of the gunboat 66 line, which was a very popular boat that's still actively racing and being sailed today. So we've taken a lot of lessons and decided to try to optimize this boat for that performance-oriented owner who wants to do racing and cruising. And racing in the form of the Caribbean 600, the Heineken Regatta, Antigua Race Week, Atlantic crossings with a semi-professional crew, owner, drivers, and we've seen a lot of interest in that size boat. So this boat's kind of optimized for the discriminate owner who really wants a fairly high performance catamaran. And what we've incorporated from the America's Cup is our curved dagger board technology and our lifting T rudders. And these new appendages that came out of the America's Cup from our experience with Team New Zealand, we were with Team New Zealand this last go-around, has taught us how much that pitch control and dampening the pitching with these foils has improved not only the straight line speed but the comfort on board. And by reducing pitching, it helps the airflow on the sails, and that makes the boat faster yet in the same amount of wind, and by reducing pitching it improves the comfort on board. And all the experience we've generated over the years with America's Cup work, using a lot of carbon fiber these days. This boat is basically a pure carbon fiber boat. It's really a race boat in disguise. Short of the microwaves and the refrigerators on board, if we stripped it out, it would be a genuine close cousin to some of the race boats we've done. In effect, it's a lion in sheep's clothing. This boat will be able to fly a hull for the owner who wants to. Which is where these boats have all been going race-wise. But if you want to detune it and keep it at a little bit more sane level, we can put a shorter rig on it, or we can substitute dagger boards for keels and detune it so it's a much more tranquil cruising boat for somebody who wants to still have all the benefits of low pitch, good stability, fast, but not hair on fire racing around the Caribbean. So we're looking forward. The first two boats are on order. I think the first boat's going to launch next September-ish, August.
Yep, yeah, that's about right. Yep.
About right, about a year from now.
If I push it really hard, hopefully we'll have the boat here at Cairns.
Oh, you heard that. Can you note that down, Jade? It's going to be here in Cairns next September. There you go.
Yeah.
And we're looking at several interested parties for the following boats, and to continue the line. Paul and Hudson have commissioned us to start the next boat, the 55, and we also have 77 on tap that we've already started doing a bunch of prelims for. So it's going to be a line from 55 to probably close in the hundreds. And we're really excited with working with Paul and Hudson in China. We've been there for a while with other projects and are really confident that we can get a high quality, good value, very strong, durable boats out of China. So it's a good evolution for our company to move in this next generation of high performance sailing catamarans.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Technical construction. Of course, from the yard's point of view, I'm aiming to produce composites that are incredibly light and very, very reliable without defect. At the same time, maximise our production efficiency. So within the yard, we have currently we have a 60-foot, 18-meter, 5-axis robot, and this carves all our male patterns, or we call them plugs. These are all actually built using traditional boat building methods with timber, and then the machine basically comes along, carves the shape to within a millimetre. We resurface it with, stabilise the surface with GRP, and then put on putty. The robot comes back and carves it all to a precise shape. The workforce then goes about polishing this pattern to a very, very high gloss, and then this is in turn ready to make the female molds. So we're not even building the boat yet. We're just creating the tools to build the boat. So then the female GRP molds are built over the male plugs, and then we're ready for construction. And this is exactly where we're at now. We are ready to start laminating, putting the carbon fibre into the female molds. To actually create the boat, I've created a new process where the top sides and the side decks are actually one mold, which will be to the side. So the centre part of the hull and the hulls themselves to the waterlines is one construction. This enables us to put the carbon fibre in, and then we thermoform the foam core. It has a very highly toughened foam core that we bend with heat to the shape, so there's no additional parasitic weight and resin. And then the inner skin of carbon is put in. We vacuum bag the whole lot and then shoot this with resin. We replace the vacuum with epoxy resin, and this is called a resin infusion. This creates void-free laminates. And we're doing it this way, we can actually build the boat to the water level, install all the tanks, the piping, the plumbing that goes below the soles, and the furniture in the middle of the salon. At the same time, concurrently, the laminating team will have the topside female molds that incorporate the decks, and they'll be laminated those to the side. And then the painting team can actually begin the fairing and painting process on these prior to finally the topsides coming in and enclosing the boat before the deck house goes on, and the bimini. So we're hoping this new sort of arrangement of female moulding is going to vastly improve our production efficiency, because in the initial stages the boat will be 100% accessible from all around, because there will not be any topsides in the way. So the whole centre of the boat can be built from all directions. We'll have at any one time 3, maybe 4 boats under construction. The build time for these boats will be 11 to 12 months, with a turnaround with, as I say, 4 boats on the go at any one time. So the key factors are that the core is not cut to fit. It's actually heated to 90 degrees Celsius, put under vacuum, and thermoformed to the correct shape, so it fits into the molds before we even put the thing under vacuum and resin infuse it. The interior, we've taken the approach that people spending this sort of money on this size boat actually want to enjoy their boats. They want to enjoy sailing fast and having a chilled glass of wine. So the interior will have a lot of luxuries. It will have wine coolers, air conditioning, a lovely galley up, so it's very sociable dining, living area. Open up all the doors into the cockpit, and in China, where we actually build these boats, it's actually the stone capital of the world, and the technology that's used over in China to manufacture stone or excavate the stone is quite remarkable. And now they're producing stone veneers that are less than 1 millimetre thick, and then mounting these onto aluminium honeycomb panels. So we're taking full advantage of this, so we can offer true luxury in the bathrooms and on the bench tops and the galleys, where we can actually offer true granite finishes. Yet the weight of these bench tops will be less than your traditional corian that you see in similar production boats. Further to the luxury, what can I say, is a lot of design. We've got Laura Pomponi, a very famous Italian designer, who can actually work with individual clients to make sure that the interior wood veneers, the stone veneers, the colours are all coordinated and there's good flow. I like to think this is going to be it's just going to be the best in the class. It's going to be fast, best design, luxurious. I don't know what more we can offer a client apart from good value with it to go along with that. Gino, perhaps you want to talk about some of the sailing systems, the main sheet system, the forward cockpit.
So in an effort to kind of find this good compromise between performance and luxury, we still have a lot of systems on board to help the crews raise the sails, lower the sails, reef sails. So we still kept a forward little, what we call a winch pit by the mast. And that area has all the access to the halyards and the reef lines and the windlass. So the actual hardcore maneuvering can be done in the safety of that pit. There's a door between that pit and the cabin, so you can access that pit without having to go around the lifelines if you don't want. And it also provides a lot of ventilation inside the boat as you need it. The helms on each side of the cabin back bulkhead actually rotate outboard, and you can actually steer from sitting on an outside bench more like a traditional monohull might be, or you can sit underneath the cabin and look out through the windows, or the third option is to open the sliding hatch above your head and stand and drive the boat looking out over the top. So you have all three types of seating arrangements depending on your level of speed, the access or the visibility you might need for sailing at night or sailing in rough weather. You can choose your level of exposure. It gives you that many more options on how to sail if you want to keep in the sun or out of the sun. The main sheet system is going to be a twin hydraulic ram system that is a bridle type arrangement, and we've chosen the bridle to help control the boom in more conditions where a cruising oriented boat might find. It's a push button system. Because of the high loads, we can use electric hydraulic winches or electric hydraulic systems to sheet the main in and out. And so if you're doing a big jibe in heavy air, the boom stays under control. You don't have a traveler track main sheet system that might be slamming around. So it helps give you a little bit more safety in heavy air with less than a total pro crew. The jib sheets are led to the cabin top, and we have overlapping jibs on this boat, which is a little different than we did on the gunboats. The gunboats typically all held self-tacking jibs with roller furled sails, and the problem with that system was that the jib shape is really pretty poor when you don't have battens in a high aspect jib. So by going for a little bit of overlap, we've improved the sail shape considerably, and it also gives us a little bit wider range to sail in the lighter air with one sail. Because the overlapping sails reach better, they fetch better, and gives us a little bit more light air capability than a self-tacking 100% jib did. Sail controls all lead to the helms, so you can control the main sheets and the jib sheets from either helm. Reacher winches are in the aft deck. So it's basically a compromise between a flat-out race boat and a short-handed cruising boat. Each owner has the ability to change his own configuration slightly. As long as we don't move bulkheads around, we can give them a little bit different cockpit layouts, big variations in interiors. So the idea is that we can semi-customize each boat to each owner's particular desire, whether they want some more luxury, more performance, more indoor, outdoor living, or more indoor living. So it's a very versatile design concept in that we can tailor the boat to each individual owner's technique, or whether he wants to race in the Caribbean or go cruising in the South Pacific.
We've already seen that with the first couple of orders. We've given the owners their choices of cockpits and interiors. And indeed, they actually haven't gone for this cockpit and that interior. They've actually hybrided. The cockpit, one particular owner has asymmetric, gone asymmetric with his cockpit layout to incorporate the best of two cockpit designs. And again, the interiors, our first owner, he's chosen to incorporate his own style in the owner's cabin. He's dedicated one entire hull to the stateroom, and he's tweaking that and customizing that to suit his particular requirements. I must say my particular favourite is the helm stations. They're going to be quite magnificent because, as Gina says, we've got the 3 seating arrangements. Whether it's heavy weather and you want to stay sheltered, or stand up behind the wheel to have absolute control when you're racing, or having a glass of wine sitting out on the outboard seat with a girlfriend, sailing into the sunset. But also behind in front of the helm stations, we've incorporated offshore systems, black screens. So it's going to be one sheet of black glass that has 2 19-inch cartography screens mounted behind it. So all the ship's systems, the boat's performance, radar, it's all displayed, and it's all touchscreen to access any part of whether you want to know how full your tanks are, how fast the boat's going, and then of course things like main sheet dump, safety features and reliability we're very heavy on. So those we've decided not to make a part of the touch screen, but are actually ceramic buttons mounted onto the black glass. But this is going to be quite a unique feature, something that we haven't seen before in the market, where the helm station is just one clean piece of black glass with 2 throttle controls. It's going to look quite special.
Right.
Okay. Interestingly, the first boat, the owner is a European, and he's getting a carbon fibre boat, and he wants to show the world that his boat is carbon. So he's demanded that the topsides we actually just clear coat. So this is going to be a great showcase of the workmanship that we can actually, and the quality we can produce in China. So the first boat will be a black boat, but it raised several technical problems, challenges that we had to look at solving. Firstly is carbon fibre typically is a very small weave, and you can't see it if you're more than 3 or 4 metres away. So we've found some very special weavers in Europe who've made a big 20mm by 20mm woven carbon fabric for us. And at the same time they've stabilised it so we can actually lay it into the mould and the fibre won't distort. So we're very, very excited about this. The boat will be very hot because it's black, and so the guy wants a lot of air conditioning to complement that. But it will showcase exactly what we can do. So the boat will come, the fibre will be laid into the mould and then backed with the foam cores. Different Gino's team engineer the laminates, the foam cores, different densities, different thicknesses, number of plies of carbon fibre to optimise the weight and also add strength where strength is needed in way of chain plates and fittings. Of course, there's a lot more loads and you need to apply a lot more layers. But very sophisticated engineering programs allow us to put the right amount of carbon in and not overkill it and make the boat too heavy. The first boat will come out of the moulds, straight out of the moulds, with a pure gloss carbon fibre finish on it. From here we'll just be applying clear lacquers to give it some UV stabilisation, but it's going to be, as it comes out of the mould is what the customer gets, and so we have to ensure that our lamination is 100%. We're very confident we're going to produce a first-class product. That's the whole aim here.
probably talk a little bit about the rig and what we're using for mast suppliers. The mast is going to be supplied by Future Fibers, company out of Valencia, Spain. In fact, as part of our same old team that we built PlayStation with, David Barnaby, who was with Southern Spars back then, is now with Future, and Torborn Lindstrom, who helped build a bunch of our gunboat rigs, is there. So we're taking probably 25 rigs worth of experience into this rig, and we're using a fractional carbon fiber mast, single spreader, double diamond, all composite rigging, it's actually all high mod carbon, is it? The first rig?
No. It's standard modulus.
Standard modulus?
Yeah, but if you go for the BT race version,
yes, we'll have an upgrade.
You can spend another 50 grand or so and choose some very special fiber.
So we've chosen for the first 4 boats a non-rotating option.
I know you will. You gotta have them at every show.
Yeah. So we've chosen on this boat to use a non-rotating rig. We have some experience with the problems with rotating rigs on this big a size, and we found in true practice there's very little benefit to rotating these rigs without going to big expense and super big foils for the mast. And in a multi-purpose boat like this, unless we could twist the rig, it loses benefit. So we've kept the rig simpler, lighter, very stiff, a bit conservative so that the boat can tolerate some abuse. When you're in that double reef, triple reef mode, the rig's super stable with the aft lowers. It should be a very user-friendly rig. We are going to use halyard locks for the main halyard and the reacher halyards. The Solent is going to be lashed off, but with a halyard, so you still have a halyard to raise the cover if we want. It has staysail halyards, staysail locks, so you still have a full complement of heavy air sailing equipment built in. The staysail leads, the jib leads are all predetermined, so the boat is fully set up to sail in heavy air with the systems already installed. The owners don't have to worry about adding anything. It's got barber haulers already set up for off-the-wind sailing.
Probably add, that our model's a little bit misleading because we've actually got a big V-boom going on, so that when you reef or lower the mainsail, the whole thing drops into the V-boom for convenience.
Yeah, it's really set out with ocean sailing, ocean passage, shorthanded crew in mind, because we both sail these boats long enough and hard enough offshore at night that you really have to make the systems bulletproof, simple to operate, simple to maintain. So we're trying to keep the boats on the robust, simple side as opposed to getting too many tricky state-of-the-day options. So we really want it to be a robust boat that the owners can sail with confidence and have a low expectation of warranty issues or service problems. It's not
reliability.
Reliability is what we're trying to build into it, as much for our sake as for the owner's sake.
Yeah, for sure.